Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Mr. CHIFFOLEAU.
Yes, I am.
Yes, that's you, sorry. You're the Business Unit Director, France, South Europe at DEME Offshore. And your company, talking about innovation, your company has some very innovative tools and methods to install offshore wind foundations. Tell us all about that.
Yes, indeed. And maybe we can start the presentation. Thanks.
There you go.
Oh. Thank you, Lisa. So, bonjour à toutes et tous. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this presentation this afternoon. Thank you as well to Synergy, inviting us to present our innovation, DEME innovation for offshore wind. Thank you as well for our client, EDF Renewables, who has trusted us in our wonderful achievement of the Saint-Nazaire project, because I will illustrate this introduction to innovation on the Saint-Nazaire project. Thank you as well to Grégoire Lemière and his wonderful project team who have delivered a fantastic project on Saint-Nazaire. So to start with, we are talking about innovation. To start with, this vessel, which is a DEME vessel, is called the Innovation. So it's just to illustrate that we'll be talking about plenty of innovation in this presentation this afternoon.
Is it not working? The green button normally?
Yeah, it doesn't. How do you make it work?
Maybe you. There we go.
There it is. Just before we start, just a quick introduction of DEME. I will not spend my time because there are more important things to speak about, and you can look at that on the web. What is important in this presentation is to look at is safety, sustainability, and innovation. The three of them are going together. One is implicating the other one. Everything linked. You've got good safety records. You can have as well, of course, profitable job site, because safety is triggering good profit. Good safety, good profit. Sustainability, it's important that we are sustainable. It is something as well for which the young generation are expecting our company, DEME. Innovation, then we'll be talking about it, and that is linked as well to improving safety, improving sustainability. Another one which is important as well is that we were a pioneer in the market of offshore wind, and we continue to be, of course, in this field, and we have become a market leader in this offshore wind installation. Just to give you an example.
1 second, the slides are up there.
I'm sorry, yeah. Excuse me. Just to give you an example, sorry about that. DEME has installed about, depending on the year, up to 50% of the foundation in Europe. We have contributed to, in fact, it's not 74 projects, but it is 90. We have installed participated to 21 gigawatt installed, 2,000 turbines. 2,700 foundations, so it's a lot of works, cables, 3,000 kilometers, so it's a lot of contribution to the offshore wind. So I will be speaking about Saint-Nazaire, and it's just to illustrate our capacity for innovation, and also the possibility of deploying this innovation on the next projects. It was a project we have participated to the Saint-Nazaire project on 2 lots. One was a lot foundation in a joint venture with ArchiMed, who were fabricating the foundations and DEME installing them. You may have participated to the presentation of Grégoire Lemière this morning. The second one that we had is participating to the substations together with Chantier de l'Atlantique and GE. And so we installed the substation of Saint-Nazaire. You all know that the project of Saint-Nazaire is commissioned for 2 turbines already, and it will be completed by September, October this year. And that Olivier de la Laurencie from EDF can tell you more about that. We faced on this project a lot of challenges. And again, I'm thanking EDF for having trusted that we were able to deliver this project, because it was a project full of challenges. The first thing was to install the monopile in large diameter. The diameter of the monopile was 7-meter diameter in rock. That is something which has never been done anywhere in the world. So it was the first thing. The second thing is that you know that the offshore wind in Europe, all the easy sites in Northern Europe in good soil conditions, sand, gentle wave, and swell, so have been installed. Everything is full. What is left now today to the installation company like ourselves, then is a difficult job site, difficult soil condition, marine condition which were difficult. In Saint-Nazaire is the full Atlantic which is coming to Saint-Nazaire, big swell, long swell, so difficulty, second difficulty. The third thing is that we had to seal as well these monopiles to the rock, so it was a challenge, a very big challenge that has never been done in this diameter and to this extent. The other things was that we were using coming with our jackup, the innovation, and it was to jack on rock, and that has never been done before. How do you dance on rock with heavy swell and so on? So we installed some special device on our jackup. I will come to that. And the last one, it was a first ever project offshore, industrial, in France. And I don't know if you have, for some of you who are foreigners, have ever worked in France. It's not Belgium, it's not Holland, it's not Germany, it is France. And you have to learn to work with it. Offshore wind, offshore doesn't exist in France. When you go to the Northern Europe countries, they are dealing with oil and gas, they have helicopters, they have plenty of things, they are used to offshore. In France, there is no offshore. So everything was to be created. There is hardly any DP vessel, so it is something that we need to work with. So it was a first project in France, and then it was also for us a challenge. So the first thing was about the drilling a hole into the rock in 7.7 meter diameter. How do you do that? So we look at the market, what the market was offering, and what was the market offering was not responding to our expectation. We were looking for an equipment which was reliable, robust, an equipment which was not also we had specifications, but we wanted this equipment to deliver a certain output production, a minimum one. So we said, what is the market offering? None of what we were expecting. So we decided to contact a TBM supplier, Eric Nesch, who is #1 in the world, tell him, now you know how to drill horizontal, now you have to help us to drill vertical. And he said, yeah, but I've never worked offshore. Okay, we can help you. We know what is offshore. We are an offshore specialist. We don't know to work onshore. So combining our expertise, then we can manufacture and deliver a tool which will be helping us to drill in 7.7 meter diameter in Saint-Nazaire. What we brought to them as well was our capacity to work in rock with rock cutter suction dredges, and as well to evacuate materials. Because if you drill fast, as we were looking for, then you need to evacuate the cuttings as quickly as you drill. So, and then we were specialized in pumps and how to collect equipment, equipment and evacuate them. So this was a challenge to them. So combining our skills, combining our, I would say, efforts, combining also good dialogue and trust, then we managed to deliver the tools that we have been using on Saint-Nazaire. It is a first. It has never been done. There has been a lot of interest by the industry. And we have even some, I would say, developers and contractors who have come all over from the world, including from Japan, to see what we were doing over there. So they were very much interested. It's a breakthrough. It is something which has never been done in this scale, to such extent, to such production. So it's a fantastic job, which is opening some new opportunities for us. Because now developers know that we can drill in this diameter. I've been talking to some people yesterday and today about our capacity for handling bigger monopiles in deeper water, in a larger diameter and so on. I said, yes, we can do it. We don't have today the tools to do it, but we'll know how to do it when it comes. The second difficulty for us was we need to install a pile, and this pile to be stable and not subject to swell and to exposure of Atlantic conditions. And then we had to encapsulate, if I can say, the operation. So what we design is a tool with a partner, and we said we want to drill in a hole, and we want to this tube, if I can say, to provide many features, including grouting, facility for grouting, including the insertion of the monopile, including the stabilization of the monopile when the grout is curing. And then we design it with our subcontractor, TMS, and then we came out with the Modiga. The Modiga is monopile drilling installation guiding head. So, and grouting head, sorry. So, and then we developed this one. Again, something which was very new. Of course, this big tube has to be stable, resist to the swell, encapsulate and again dissociate, if I can say, the operation within the tube from the outside marine condition, and that worked. And then we have installed the 80 foundations at Saint-Nazaire, and all of them have been installed and grouted to the satisfaction of all parties, and quality has been there. And again, it is something which is opening the opportunities of working in oceanic conditions all over the world, basically. The next one was, again, a jackup. You know that a jackup, you are sailing, and then you are jacking up and then down. And then, of course, the criticality of this operation is when you are coming out of water, when you are on your legs, and then you are exposed to swell. So the swell is creating some, I would say, constraints and some movement of your vessel. And so that means that your vessel is dancing. And so in order to avoid it to dance, then you have to, and on rock, you have to stay on rock. So instead of having some big pad footings, then the innovation was resting on some diamond, if I can say, some rock tips. And so this is what we have developed again, and with some rock tip dampers. And that was, again, something which has never been done before. Then the next one also is that I said working in France, not easy, but we have managed to work with a lot of, I would say, companies from various fields as much as possible. They didn't know the offshore, as I said. We knew the offshore, but we didn't know how to work with France. So we have tried to meet in the middle of their expertise in working in France, our expertise in the offshore, and to find some relationship and to make them work as much as possible. So it has started with the Port of La Rochelle, with whom we have an excellent cooperation, working with some their agent, working with dockers. That has been a challenge as well. It has, of course, it's just illustrating what we found for this project, but there are some buoys as well that we installed for the noise monitoring, which were coming from France, some shackles, slings, and all the lifting equipment. So it is something as well that we source in France. So all that to say is that it was a good match that helped us as well, not only to perform the works, but also to get known and be able to work with the companies and the local communities. Talking about local communities, we had extreme and maintain a good relationship with the fishermen, so as EDF started this relationship a long time ago. So again, it's a success story with regard to safety, but also sustainability, environment, quality, innovation, of course, partnership with local contractors, partnership with some specialist and experienced companies, local content, I mentioned it, and also the works which was delivered ahead of schedule, 1.5 months ahead of schedule, which was again another success.
Thank you.
And then all down, yes, that was it for me. And then what is sure is that all this breakthrough this knowledge, we will replicate it and develop it for new projects, including hopefully some other projects in France, and we are waiting for it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Vincent LADOUGNE, you are business developer at ArchiMed. That's a company that specializes in the fabrication and assembly of steel flotation, floating foundations, sorry. You also have a presentation, do you? Yes. First of all, for you, innovation, if I understand that right, means automatization and robotization. Is that right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for welcoming us to this panel. So I'm Vincent LADOUGNE, ArchiMed and Ponticelli Commercial Director. Just before I move into innovation, just a few words about ArchiMed. ArchiMed is a new dedicated company for the offshore floating wind industry, created by two privately owned French groups, Ponticelli and Matière. So these two groups are working in energy and infrastructures business in France and in the world, and they are quite convinced that renewable energy is critical for their future, so they decided to set up ArchiMed as a specialist company for the floating offshore wind market. The scope of ArchiMed is the fabrication and assembly of steel floating foundations, and of course the ancillary services like float off and load out and float off, and integration of the turbines, and maybe in the future maintenance services. Our current positioning is to work for developers as construction package providers. So you've got the traditional structure of floating or offshore wind project in effect, with some developers setting up a specific project company and various construction packages. So we've got companies like DEME delivering the T&I scope, of course, and we are on the left side delivering the construction of the floater, which is usually under design selected by the developer. So we are not designing the floater, we are barely manufacturing, procuring and constructing the floaters. And I've put on the screen an example of a project which we are currently delivering, which is the EolMed project. EolMed is our first client. It's a company set up by Total and Care in the south of France for one of the pilot farms that the French state initiated. And we are currently building 3 floating foundations of 10 megawatt each for this project, which will be delivered near Port-la-Nouvelle, which is a Gruissan city, and which will be operating in 2024. And then the focus of ArchiMed, because we are talking of innovation, is really to make this new industry. Floating wind is a new industry. It's completely different from bottom fixed. We've got new challenges, and we want to make sure that we can catch up in price with bottom fixed. So the aim of companies like ArchiMed is to make sure that we offer solutions to developers which are competitive enough, so that in 5-10 years' time, you'll have floating wind projects as competitive as bottom fixed projects. And to do that, we need really to focus on industrialization and how we will manufacture those floaters under sort of mass production, or to find ways of addressing a market which is increasing day and day, and to make sure that we can catch up in price with the bottom fixed projects. So in terms of innovations, what we have to face is 2 types of innovations. Of course, we'll have to design specific production lines for these items. So you can see a traditional design of, I'm not naming any design house here. As I said, ArchiMed is independent from any design house, but you see the traditional semi-substructure. And it looks very small on the drawing, but these items are absolutely huge, over 100 meters each side, 30 to 40 meters high, 4,000 to 5,000 tons. I like to always remember that the Eiffel Tower is only 10,000 tons, so each of these floaters is the weight of half an Eiffel Tower, and they will be quite a challenge to build. So ArchiMed will set up dedicated production lines, first for the production of the components, what we can see, the columns, the beams, the pontoons. So these components will have to be produced with automatization, with dedicated lines, either for flat panel assembly line, depending on the design, or for roll plate welding lines. So we'll have, and we have started to work on that to be ready for facing the challenge of these commercial projects coming on stream in the second part of this decade. The second point is that once you've done the component in a factory, which is not necessarily at the same place as the final assembly yard, you also need to think about the yard and how you will build these floaters. So the assembly of the floater on a yard, because of the size of the floater, this yard will have to be on a quayside somewhere. So depending on the projects, we'll develop quayside facilities. Thanks to Région Occitanie, we've got a dedicated renewable energy site in Port-la-Nouvelle. So that's one of the candidates for being a hub in terms of this mass production of floaters in the future. And we'll have to develop tools to make sure that we can build these massive structures with dedicated supports, with modular access platforms, with some metrology tools, because it's 100 meters long, but the welding needs to be 1 millimeter precise. We'll have some welding tools, we'll have some robots for surface preparation and painting, so plenty of innovation, Lisa.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Just one question very briefly. You just talked about the French market. What other markets are you looking at right now?
Yeah, to start with, ArchiMed is focusing on the French market. So we've made some projection based on the French state announcement, which is about 40 gigawatt of offshore wind in 2050. If we take out of this 40 gigawatt, we may have over 25 gigawatt of floating wind projects, which is the top part. So the total market is the total number of floaters that we can anticipate. And to reach this target, still it's a long target, 2050, but when you look at the curve, we can see that the French market is already showing some great potentials. With an anticipated market, which is the bottom part of the graph, of about 10 to 20 floaters every year, year on year up to 2050 for ArchiMed. If we capture only a part of this market, leaving also some space for our friends in the concrete world, because as you know, there are also some developers interested by the concrete floaters, which is for us not the future, but we still leave them some space, and we'll aim at producing with ArchiMed up to 20 or 25 floaters a year, which is already a great challenge. So 25 floaters a year, it's 100,000 tons of steel every year to process. So the French market is giving us great opportunities. Then if we can do that, be competitive, why not to export in other countries? If we are competitive in France, we can be competitive for other European markets. And I could do similar graphs for other European countries, which are all developing the offshore and floating wind markets. That's for the European market and the Mediterranean basin, but similarly, we've got great potential as well in Scotland, Norway, and in the North Sea. So the world is there. We'll start developing and implementing those innovations for the French market, and then we'll move on to the next countries.
Sounds like an adventure. Thank you very much, Vincent LADOUGNE. Now, all this innovation needs to be financed somehow. Monsieur Christophe DESCOS, vous êtes membre du directoire de la Caisse d'épargne en Normandie et président de Kiwaï. Dites-nous quelles différentes formes de financement y a-t-il pour de tels projets?
Oui, bonjour Lisa.
Bonjour.
Merci. I'm going to answer in French to be more efficient because we have only a few minutes.
In English?
Non, en français, c'est bien.
Français, d'accord.
Vas-y, oui.
D'accord, très bien.
Les différentes formes de financement. Alors, en quelques minutes, c'est compliqué d'être exhaustif, mais il y a deux grandes familles. Hein. La première, c'est évidemment se financer en fonds propres. Il y a deux façons, soit vous allez public equity, donc vous faites une IPO, c'est ce qu'a fait Hafner ou Life. Alors aujourd'hui, je représente le groupe BPCE. BPCE a dirigé les introductions en bourse de ces deux sociétés, donc c'est évidemment une façon rapide de lever de l'argent, ou vous allez chercher un mode private equity, et je pense notamment à Mirova, Vauban, Venture, qui sont par exemple des grands fonds qui sont dans notre groupe. Ça, c'est toute la famille fonds propres, et puis qui sont évidemment la première grande famille pour financer ces innovations. Et puis l'autre famille, c'est la famille corporate. Alors corporate loan. Donc corporate loan, il faut être éligible, puisque ces innovations, il faut qu'il y ait une prédictivité du cash flow, donc c'est ça qui permet de lever de la dette, soit sur un mode corporate, soit sur un mode SPV, si le cash flow est contractuel ou prévisible. Voilà, c'est un peu les deux grandes familles, mais pour être très, très rapide sur le sujet.
D'accord. Et est-ce que vous diriez que les projets dans les énergies renouvelables, surtout l'éolien en mer, sont financés de manière différente par rapport à d'autres projets, ou dans quelle mesure ?
Alors l'éolien en mer, peut-être. En fait, ce qui est très délicat, c'est la complexité industrielle que vous avez à gérer, c'est-à-dire l'innovation. Et bien ça, cette complexité industrielle, elle entraîne deux choses. La première, c'est la phase de construction, de mise en marché, où là, on va plutôt aller chercher un financement en mode equity. C'est plutôt l'actionnaire qui va faire son travail. Alors on peut mettre un peu de financement. Il y a notamment sur l'éolien en mer, on fait des equity bridge ou des equity loans, donc c'est possible. Et puis dans l'innovation, il y a aussi quelle prévision du cash flow on va avoir une fois que on rentre en mode opérationnel. Pour ça, il y a peut-être deux outils supplémentaires en financement. L'outil obligataire. L'outil obligataire, ça permet de ne pas se diluer en termes de fonds propres. Donc pour un industriel ou pour une société de projet, c'est intéressant. C'est l'outil obligataire sur un projet innovant, ça reste relativement onéreux, mais moins onéreux que si vous diluez en fonds propres. Et puis la dernière possibilité ou solution que je voulais mentionner, c'est le venture loan. Alors ça se voit plutôt côté innovation des startups, vraiment de la tech, mais le venture loan, ça peut être aussi adapté sur des projets très innovants, alors un peu moins gros que sur des projets obligataires. Notamment, nous on travaille avec le FEI qui permet de financer et d'avoir une garantie de l'Europe sur des projets innovants. Ça peut par exemple être très adapté à des projets comme l'hydrogène, sur des petites unités hydrogène qui sont très innovantes. Et ça permet aussi d'avoir des financements qui soient dans les territoires. Et ça me paraît très important.
Justement, les territoires ont un rôle à jouer dans ce contexte.
Je pense que le territoire, de toute façon, il a un rôle à jouer, quel que soit le projet. On le voit bien dans les projets qui nous ont été présentés, que ce soit à Saint-Nazaire ou que ce soit sur du flottant. En fait, à chaque fois, ces projets ils s'inscrivent dans le territoire. Et c'est très important qu'ils s'inscrivent dans le territoire, puisque avant tout, ces projets, c'est des projets industriels, des projets de compétitivité, mais aussi des projets qui permettent de décarboner notre économie et d'être quelque part plus souverain sur la partie énergétique. Donc c'est très important qu'ils soient dans le territoire. Il y a quand même deux gros enjeux liés au territoire, c'est l'acceptabilité des populations et l'intégration dans l'écosystème, sur lequel je crois que tous les développeurs travaillent, parce que c'est vraiment un enjeu clé, à la fois pour vos projets, mais aussi dans tous les tender process, ça fait partie de l'appel d'offres. Alors on a deux solutions, nous, auxquelles on a souvent recours quand on finance de l'éolien en mer. La première solution, c'est d'associer, et on travaille beaucoup avec les collectivités, donc c'est d'associer les collectivités. En Caisse d'épargne Normandie, on est la première banque des collectivités en Normandie, mais c'est de façon générale, on est le premier financeur privé des collectivités en France. Donc on est très proche des collectivités. Associer les collectivités, c'est associer le public, c'est associer ce qui représente la société autour de vos projets. C'est essentiel, ça participe vraiment à l'acceptabilité. On a une deuxième solution, c'est le crowdfunding. Le crowdfunding, on a monté une plateforme avec la région qui s'appelle Kiwaï. qui est une plateforme de financement participatif qui permet d'associer le citoyen à vos projets d'éolien en mer, mais à tous vos projets finalement innovants de développement durable. Alors, le crowdfunding, c'est pas tellement nouveau, hein, ça a quelques années. Nous, ce qu'on a fait avec la région Normandie, on garantit le capital et les intérêts. Et alors ça, c'est un game changer. Pourquoi? Parce que ça permet d'associer tous les citoyens qui sont autour de vos projets. Et finalement, quand on développe un projet d'éolien en mer, le plus important, la première chose, c'est l'industriel, évidemment, mais la deuxième chose, c'est que ce soit accepté sur le territoire. Et typiquement sur le projet de Fécamp, hein, qui est un des grands projets en Normandie, on a fait un financement participatif, on a associé tous les citoyens, on a garanti, nous, la Caisse d'épargne Normandie, le capital et les intérêts, si bien que ça en fait un financement très grand public, qui a eu une très bonne couverture presse et qui a vraiment créé des ambassadeurs du projet. Hein. On a eu, je crois, 500 personnes vraiment de la région qui ont contribué. Non dilutif, donc facile à intégrer dans un pool. Il faut le prévoir dans la doc, évidemment, dès le départ. Mais ça permet vraiment de maximiser le retour sur le territoire et puis de faire un projet qui soit à la fois un très beau projet en termes de compétitivité. Et on le voit en France, on a des entreprises vraiment très, très à la pointe hein, sur ces sujets. Donc un projet très compétitif, très concurrentiel, mais aussi particulièrement intégré dans l'écosystème et accepté par les citoyens qui sont en région Normandie.
Ah, super. Donc du coup, il y a le financement, il y a les innovations, il y a tout ce qu'il faut.
Voilà, il y a tout ce qu'il faut, mais je crois que de toute façon, un grand projet comme ça, c'est faire la synthèse entre des industriels, des investisseurs, des financeurs, et puis évidemment un écosystème et des collectivités. Et si on aligne tout le monde, eh bien, on fait une équipe qui gagne.
Super. Bon, merci beaucoup. Merci d'avoir été ici sur la table ronde. Merci à vous d'avoir écouté ici ou en ligne. Eh bien, bonne journée.